Hi, everyone, and welcome to an amazing conversation that is about to happen. As always, if you could put in the chat where you are tuning in from, that is always an interesting activity to witness. And I will lead by example by saying I'm tuning in from Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. What about you, Gretchen?
I'm over here in Los Angeles, California, also in the
Ooh,
United States.
LA.
And I'm here from the future in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. It's Tuesday, almost lunchtime.
How was Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
It's
Yeah,
it's always comforting to know that it's already the future. Like the future is guaranteed at least
it's
through tomorrow.
fine. Yeah.
The future is now. Oh my gosh, so many directions we could go with this.
Oh, I just saw someone's tuning in from Germany. I think it's is it after midnight in Germany? So well done.
Yeah.
And
And The
London,
Hague,
Yeah,
Europe.
The
Yeah.
Hague, the UK.
Australia. This is always so much fun, you all. From Brisbane. Mm.
Houston, Canada, library addict. Hi.
Ah, it's the Nalini United Nations.
Oh, I saw Venezuela. That's cool.
Oh, Venezuela. Jocelyn, hello. Oh, Connecticut. Nice. Oh,
And
don't
with
I want to be
France,
there?
yeah.
Gosh.
And someone just flew in from Japan. It's moving so fast, I'm trying to catch it.
Another Jocelyn. Jocelyn's like, listen, there's also a Rhode Island Jocelyn. Venezuela
Yeah.
Jocelyn does not get all the love. Welcome. Well, I think we've got the first mass influx of folks. So I think I'll get us started so that we can have all the time to listen to you all chat. Um, So hello, welcome. Hi, everybody. My name is Destiny, and I work at City Bookshop, which is in Washington, D.C. And most of you who are signed up, you should already know that we have Nalini's books available in general, but more particularly Archangel's Ascension, with book plates while they last. So check us out. My colleague, Emma, I'm sure will put a link in the chat. Um, Also, one quick note, if you have questions that you would like to be considered in the conversation, make sure to put those in the Q&A section and not in the chat because the chat gets lit, which is awesome, but your question might get lost. So we want to see all your questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A. And I think that is all in the way of announcements. If I think of anything else, I will pop them right in to the chat. But without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our panelists for today. So Gretchen Schreiber grew up between the hills of Kansas and the hospitals of Minnesota, but now calls the hills of Los Angeles home. I loved that sentence when I first read it, so kudos to you. After getting her MFA from USC's School of Cinematic Arts, she now works as a professional bookworm for Hello Sunshine, Reese Witherspoon's media company. Her debut novel, Ellie Haycock is Totally Normal, is out now. Huge round of applause virtually for Gretchen.
That is such a good book. I got it when Gretchen hosted me at the Ripped Bodice last year, and I just zoomed through it. It's such a good book.
I'm now gonna have to go find. I'm sorry, Destiny. You're gonna have to take over. I'm gonna have to go lay down now.
Listen,
It has so much heart, that book. I was completely compelled, and I'm not the audience for that book, right? Like I don't usually read. I would say, is it YA? Would you say?
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. Highly recommend it.
I
Someone take
shed
a
a tear in
screenshot of
your
my face
honor,
right now
Gretchen.
so that I can have this memory of my parents can see when I died.
Nalini Singh liked my book. I'm done. I'm done. I'm
That's
done.
it. I'm done. Mic drop. We gotta
Why
go
are we
pack it
even
in.
still
Buy the
here?
book, everybody. She's great.
The Nalini
Nalini
United
transformed.
Nations is agreeing. Like, I love it. Speaking of Nalini,
Yeah.
the New York Times best-selling author, Nalini Singh, is passionate about writing, and aren't we glad of it? Though she's traveled as far afield as the deserts of China, the temples of Japan, and the frozen landscapes of Antarctica, it is the journey of the imagination that fascinates her most. She's beyond delighted to be able to follow her dream as a writer, due in part to all of you. She's the author of the Sci-Changeling novels, including Primal Mirror, Resonant Surge, Storm Echo, and the upcoming Atonement Sky, which you all, I must take off my spectacles, you are going to die, but be resurrected. It is incredible. And that's going to be released later this summer. But today we are here to talk about the Guild Hunter series, which she is also the author of, including Archangel's Lineage, Archangel's Resurrection, Archangel's Light, and as of tomorrow, Archangel's Ascension. Please welcome the incredible Nalini Singh. And I will disappear very magically. Mwah. Farewell, you all.
My gosh, you're here again. A new book. So do you want to give us a little overview since no one has read it yet?
Okay, so I am assuming if you are in this chat that you read the Guild Hunter series and you have read Archangel's Light, which was the first Ilium and Arden book. And when I wrote that book, I thought it would be one book for them because it's most of the couples except for Elena and Raphael have had one book. Except by the time I got to the end, I was like, this relationship is just starting, because they had to go from best friends to, hey, we actually want to be more, you know? And so then I was like, okay, yeah, there's got to be, you know, the second book for them. So it is basically a direct continuation of Archangel's Light. Not to spoil anything, but all of you that are worried that you won't get to see what happened after they arrived in New York, you will get to see it. So yeah, it's basically the continuation of their story now that they've admitted that they want more from each other than, you know, it's like the friends to lovers. Yeah. So the first book was them getting to the, hey, we want to be lovers. And then this is the second part. Yeah.
I feel like you just stole my first question, but also I just want to call out the chat that says Sparkle gets a book and Bluebird gets a book, or Bluebell gets a book. And I think that is like really a summation of it all. But I mean, huge fan of your work. I wouldn't say friends to lovers is something you do a lot, would you say? What drew you to this, and like what did you see in like the difficulty of like it needed two books to take them from like we're just friends and now we're something more, and that comes with all of these like other things?
So I've actually it's one of my favorite tropes to read as a reader. Like I love it, and it is actually surprising you say that. I'm thinking in my head, have I done a lot of friends to lovers? And I think you're right.
I was trying to go through it and I was like
I mean, I think sort of semi-enemies to lovers with Mercy and Riley in the Sci-Changing series.
I know that is, I read that book. I've probably read that book 50 times. So yeah, very, very familiar
yeah. With these two, so I don't tend to start from a trope point of view when I start writing. I start very much from a character point of view. And really, these two are just a juggernaut. You know, it was... Yeah. When I started, I wrote them as friends, and I always thought they were friends. And so it's been a process of discovery for me as well, to be like, they started like I would be writing and I was like, There's a scene in one of the books where Arden allows Ilium to touch him, and at that point he hasn't allowed anyone really, you know, to touch him. And I just thought, and it's like, yeah, someone said it's the face touch. Yeah, it's the face touch. And I was just like, what is happening here? This is not in my plans. And so I just, it's very important to me to go with the characters. Like, I don't want to push plots, you know, I don't want to be like, no, this is what I decided and this is where it's going to go. I am very open to, hey, these characters have insane chemistry and let's see where it goes. And I always knew it was going to be super, super complicated. And that's why it needs two books, because they've had hundreds of years as best friends. There's a lot of history. And then with Arden, you've also got a trauma. and which is very, we all know about it. But at the same time, and I think both books go into this, Ilium also has a lot of trauma, but he's just happier, and he's just able to sort of mask it. And so both of them have to get to a point where they've always been open with each other, but there are certain things they don't talk about. And they had to get past that point where it's like, yes, I saw Esther saying they healed each other. Yeah, that's a little bit of that. They have to heal within themselves, and also get to a point where they're ready to be somebody's everything, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I also love the fact there's this line, I think it's in Archangel's Light, where it's like you don't overcome like trauma in one day. And I think you don't, like, if you just waited until they both were like, we're done with our trauma, we could be together. Like, it also is like, there's also like a big testament in their relationship of like, you can love with trauma. And like, just
Yes.
because it's there and it comes like, because it even comes kind of back up in this book, if we're not giving away too much, because I'm pretty sure that's in the jacket copy. And like, they still have to like deal with it. And then like, there are new issues. And like, I'm really curious of like how you come up. This maybe sounds like you're torturing characters. Like, where does that like trauma like come from the narrative standpoint?
So I am not a huge plotter. I plot the background arc of a series, so I always know where I want to take the series. But with the characters, I tend not to plot their journey. I will just write a whole book to figure out what their journey is. And so it just, the minute we meet Arden, I knew there was a lot going on inside him, and then it slowly sort of revealed itself to me. It sounds weird, but that really is how it goes. Like, as I wrote him, I could see he's so quiet and he's so contained, and what is going on, and why has he been in the refuge for like 200 years, and all of the others have come to New York. And then with Ilium, it was in layers. We get to find out, we meet his mother, so we get a glimpse of that, and then we know about his mortal love from when he was very young. And it really is a process of discovery. Yeah, when it comes to the characters, and they kind of tell me what happened to them, and some of them just don't want to talk. And then I write like 90,000 words, and I'm like, I know nothing. I have to write another 90,000 words before they talk to me. So this happens a lot with the side characters, the arrows. Yeah. They're like, no talking, doesn't happen.
And I'm curious, when you write 90,000 words and you're still like, they're like, denied, try again tomorrow. Like, at what point do you know, okay, this book is like, it's not the wrong book, but it's not the right now book? Like, and maybe linking it back to this book, when did you know that you were going to have to like, whatever plans you had in the back of your head, you were like, oh, we've got to like actually now take this whole new relationship into account, which is really going to not mess up, but it's going to cause some like struggles for Raphael and Elaine and like everyone we've like come to know and love in that world.
I guess I knew early enough that I knew this was how it's going to be. It is the story. It is the story that is the story to be told. And so it wasn't hard in the sense that it didn't disrupt anything, but it's a very emotional book. And I think when you read it, and so that was the hard part, going through all this stuff with them. Sometimes when I write all those words and I don't get that connection, sometimes it's not because it's not the right now book, it's because I started at the wrong point book, or took a wrong turn.
Okay.
And I'm very so I've been in writing for a long time, and I'm okay with just going back to the start and starting again. And I will never tell anyone which book this was, but there was one book I wrote a lot of it, and then I realized it was the wrong people. Like the one of them ended up a main character, but the other one, there was no chemistry in this book, and I had plotted it all out, and which is why I should never plot character
You're like, that was a wrong turn.
Wrong guy, so
oh, wrong guy. Now we're narrowing it down, guys. Everyone
but then it was the right guy, the second time around I got it right, because I was like, oh, there's the chemistry, like in my face. So yeah, so I'm very open to, because of the way I write, I'm very open to exploring things, and it's like, who is it going to be? And with these two, there was really no need for it. I knew it was going to be Liam and Arden. I knew from that time I started to get the feeling, hey, maybe these two are not just friends. And yeah, so it was just a case of going with them and seeing where they took me. People asking me, I said, I'm never going to tell you which book this was, ever.
It's going to be a long con, guys. This is the start. We just can't forget about it. Someday, but not today, and probably not tomorrow.
Not today.
Definitely not tomorrow for those of us in the United States, since it's already tomorrow in New Zealand. I think one of the other things that I have noticed about, like, to sort of branch out to like this series as a whole and how it sort of is like compacted into this one book, is everything is kind of about like starting over. And like what happens when you have this like one big change. Like I think of Elena becoming an angel at the end of book 1, and like you have things that happen to Ilium in this book that like are sort of like forcing him to like start over again and like start his life in a very different way. And I'm like, I'm fascinated. You always talk about having a question for a series. And is that related to the question of the Guild Hunter series? Am I getting closer?
So it's really funny. I have no idea about the themes in my books until someone points it out to me. So no clue that was, thematically in the series. The question for the series is was exploring what would happen if an immortal falls in love with a mortal over the long term. Like, you don't end with the happy ever after. What's next? And it's about, and the secondary question was also, I wanted to write a true immortal. So I started obviously with Raphael. Like, I felt like I had been reading a lot of books where the immortals just acted like humans. And I'm like, well, if you've been alive for 1,000 years, you might not take humans that seriously, And so, yeah, those are the underlying things I began with. But as I said, I think like all writers, you'll know this yourself. It's like there's things in our books that we don't consciously put in. And then someone points it out and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. No idea.
I am brilliant. I mean, to your point of like, these are all like immortals and they're living long lives. Time is also a big thing in this book of like, we go back a long time, we come forward, we're talking yesterday, we're talking today. Basically, it's this Zoom. But like, how do you think about that when like you're talking about time? Like, conceptualize what becomes a big moment for like Auden and Ilium versus like what is, seemingly just a butterfly flapping its wings.
Yeah, it's this book does, there's a lot of time that passes in this book. And I think it was important to me to have that in the series because, again, we're talking about immortals. So it doesn't make sense to have a complete series where it's only in one timeline. It's only in a mortal timeline. Because to truly know these people, you have to know the immortal timeline.
Yeah.
So, and also Elena's journey, it's beyond mortality, and so I've never had trouble jumping time in my head about what happens in the past and what happens in the future, because I've always said it's like a movie in my head. Like it's I'm just jumping into different parts of the movie. And this is how I write short stories for my newsletter, because quite often I will jump back to tell a story and then jump forward for a book. So that one it's instinctive, but I do also keep very detailed timeline records for both the series and for each book, because sometimes I think this is something only I will ever notice, but it's important to me that the timeline matches exactly.
I'm here
And
for it.
yeah, like for example, in the Changeling series, there is a particular character who we know as the ghost, and then we find out who it is. And I timelined that to the minute to make sure that person was never in the same place at the same time in any of the books. So if you ever go back and read it, it's like, yeah, no, I had time zones, I had maps, I just was like, so it's really important to me to have that kind of continuity for the realism of the story. But in terms of myself, when I'm writing, having these long immortal timelines, that one just, it felt natural because I'm in their headspace. These are people who live a very long time. So yeah.
I'm just imagining there someday being like a comprehensive book with all of your notes and like mixed media character art. I'm like, anyone from Berkeley in the chat wants to someday put a big, nice coffee table book? I would buy it. I would have it forever. I mean, everyone is kind of, I've been looking through the Q&A questions. Can you give us any, I mean, there are maybe a couple hints I could say from the book, but could you tell us who we're sort of gearing up to see next? Who's been talking to you?
Yeah, so the next book is the last book in the series.
What?
So I am, yes,
Did we know this?
It is. Yes.
How does
yes.
how does that
me?
feel? Like not just we're all like,
I am like here, like what?
yeah, Destiny, get back in here.
Destiny just
We have to stop this. Like this is not just like end of Act 1.
Yeah, so it is time. It is time. So
The chat, we're like, oh my
I'm
gosh.
sorry. I cried too.
Oh, how did you know?
How
did you know this was the end?
I knew there's a certain journey that I'm taking these characters on, and we are getting there. And it's gonna be Elena and Raphael, because it will begin with them, it will end with them. That is always how it was going to be. So everyone prepare yourself. You have a year to prepare yourself. But I will continue to write the short stories and things like that because I love this world. I've lived in it for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, I'm crying at the keyboard as I write this book. So but it feels right. Yeah.
I feel like my last question is just gonna be like, before we open it up, I don't know how Destiny wants to run the Q&A. I mean, one of my questions was like, you've got 2 really long running series, which I feel like is incredible that they both live in like separate little houses right next to each other in your brain, which is amazing. How are you gonna wrap this all up? Like, are you excited? I mean, you're crying. Like, is it gonna be like a lot? What is it? The like 14th side changeling book where we just get to see a little bit of everybody all the time?
No, it is very much an Elena Raphael book, but I think you'll see after you read Ascension, we actually got news from other characters as well, even though it's Ilya Minardin's book. So it's going to be like that. You will.
Okay.
Obviously, there is no way to wrap everything up in a ribbon. It would just be not feel right. That would just feel kind of, I don't know, forced. But we're going to see a lot of people, and it's the way it wraps up is something that once you read it, I don't want to spoiler it. It has been building in the series. So yeah, what do I feel about it? I have a mix of emotions. I have a deep sense that this is the right move for the series to have a completion point. And at the same time, I am incredibly sad because I love these characters. I know as readers you love these characters. Now imagine what it's like for me, because they live inside my head. And the idea of never writing a particular scene with this character, it just, so this is why I tell myself, oh, you can write the short stories as much as you want, you know, you can go back as much as you want.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I never slam a door shut. I never say, no, never again. So if there is something that, for example, I am actually really fascinated by Marduk, who we meet, you know, in a previous book, and I'm like, do I want to go back and do that at some point? So I'll just leave the door a crack open in case inspiration strikes for a particular character. But the main storyline for that began with Elena and Raphael, I feel like it is time. Yeah, it is. Someone told Ashley's gonna hold the door open for me.
I feel like much like Immortals, it's not goodbye forever. It's just for now. We're gonna
leave it like that. Yeah, I don't want to break all your hearts, but I think at the same time also it's a good thing because then you have a completed series. You can read from 1 to 18. I mean, 18 books. You can't say I shortchanged you.
We really can't.
Yeah, all the way
they're
through.
Really like they are not like they're packed. Like you give us a lot. Like we have been a well-fed readership. That sounded weird, but here we are. So anything, promise this will be the last question before we pack it all in, or not, I pack it all in and we open up to everybody else. You are closing one series in a year, which we all just found out and are emotionally dealing with, and Side Changeling's still ongoing, unless you're gonna kill us all again. What is next?
No,
or you're
joking.
Like, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and only do one book a year.
So what I will do is I'm gonna just drop all the news on you guys on this one. So whoever's here, you are getting the breaking news. So there is a possibility that Guild Hunter could have a film adaptation. So I am actually being asked to help write some of the materials for that. So I will, if that goes ahead, so cross all your fingers, cross your wings, cross your toes. That's what I will be doing. So but
okay.
Yeah. So that's very exciting, you guys. It's super exciting, and it's there's a major special effects company involved. So I'm very excited because there is a reason I've held on to these rights for so long, is because I was never gonna have it happen unless it was really beautiful, you know.
Yeah. And a special effects shop in New Zealand.
Yes, it's very easy to guess. I'm like, yeah. So, you know, it would be Weta, which has done Lord of the Rings, Dune. You know, basically, Mass Avatar, everything.
Yeah. So, my friend works there.
Yeah. I'm gonna be there later
you have to tell me everything now.
Yeah, so it is very early days, and usually I don't talk about stuff because I'm like, people get disappointed when, you know, film stuff takes so long to get going, and it's
always a very excited maybe,
yes, but I think it's good to celebrate this because it is basically the Guild Hunter series will continue to live on, you know. So hopefully that's what I will be doing if that goes ahead, and which will keep me quite busy. But otherwise, what I am thinking is, because I am a novelist at heart, you know, I like writing books, I have decided to give myself some thinking space, because all of my series have come from having that quiet time to just think and let ideas percolate. And I have a couple of things in the background that I've been thinking about sort of in between. And so when I've fully completed the Guild Hunter series, I will have that thinking time. So there would likely be a gap of a year, or at least in between, you know, while I
dry our tears and be like ready to accept new love into our life.
I actually just saw a question. Someone said if the film stuff happens, would keep the diversity. And yes, that is part of the reason I sold to this production company, is because they are actually very interested in the diversity and the fact that they're set around the world and all of that kind of stuff. So yes, keep everything crossed, everyone, and I will keep you updated.
Everyone, just all the good thoughts, crossed fingers, and like on that destiny to the front. I don't know how I'm supposed to like leave after we've got so much good news. I mean, we've got so much news.
You can be the question queen. I am just here like frozen, as you see.
Like I mean, I can keep going, but I
perfect,
feel like I'm gonna be like, Nalini, here are all of the themes and things that I have seen in your books, and she's gonna be like, Gretchen, you tell me this every time you ask me questions.
Well, we have tons of questions in the Q&A, so I will let you guys decide what you want to go with. There's so many, so many.
Oh my gosh. I mean, let's see here.
Oh wow, I just looked at the chat. There's 362 in the chat. Oh, question A. Oh, okay. Sorry, looked at the wrong number.
No,
it's not that many. What about the Legion?
Oh,
it's a comment. What about the Legion?
I mean, just to give us all the more information that might end us, what can you tell us the last Guild Hunter book's title?
Yes, why not? I will tell it to you. Actually, I haven't told my editor yet. So, Erin, sorry. No, actually, I might have told her. I did see her in New York, so I think I told her. It's Archangel's Eternity.
Oh, okay.
I think Disney fell over.
All right, okay.
So put that on your TBRs already.
I mean, I'm sure someone is creating the Goodreads story graph listings as we speak.
So many great questions. I mean, I do
aren't you guys glad you came to this today? You are getting the breaking news. Just it's so hot, it's burning, straight off the presses.
Hot, it's just like ended my brain. Like I'm like,
Gretchen's like, you ask the questions. I'm like, I don't even know. Do I have a brain? Okay.
I mean, that's why we're here to tag team listening, because it's just like the two of us propping each other up to the end.
Fair. Okay. I do like this question, which is, do you like to, or do you listen to music while you're writing at all? Or is there a song that for this book or music that inspires you, I guess, as you're writing? That's interesting.
Yeah, I do, but not always. So it depends on the book. And so people sometimes ask me for like a playlist, and I'm like, this is going to be a very boring playlist, because I literally, if I have a song for a book, I have a song that I listen to on repeat 10,000 times in my headphones, so I'm not bothering anybody else in the house. But with the Guild Hunter books, what I tend to listen to is very sweeping, like classical music. So it's not word music usually. It's like like the sort of the ones where it's like the background score of a movie, where it's like roar, rises and falls, and because it's like the impression of flight for me, and there's such deep emotion in there, and it just soars. I listen to very soaring sort of classical music. But for this book, I do have a song, but it's actually a song in another language. So I speak Hindi, so it's a Hindi song, and it's a very unusual song for this book. But the reason it works for me, it's a song about saying goodbye, and how this person is the color of the home, and they're taking the colors with them when they go. And I was so I'm listening to this song. There is one particular scene in Ascension. You will know when you two have read it. You know which scene it is. That I played that song when I'm writing that scene. So I'm basically just crying the whole time, just crying. And now when I read that scene, and when I edited that scene, I was crying. And then when I read that scene, now I cry. So, but it's like the kind of crying where it's like they're leaving, but they're leaving for something joyful. And so you're happy for them, but also sad. So it's that kind of feeling, you know? So yeah, yeah. Hopefully that's not spoiler. I mean, it's in the title, guys. So
Kind of a follow-up question to that, which is, were you drafting this book and the Side Changeling book like around the same time? Out of curiosity.
no, I always work on one,
Okay.
and then I work on the other. The only things that happen to come in between I will get edits, but like the book's already written, but I would get like copy edits and things like that in between. But yeah, I'm very careful about just blocking time for each project. Yeah, but for example, I do work quite like a year in advance, right? So I have written Eternity, and I need to edit it. So basically, I'm sitting here trying not to spoiler you for not just Ascension, but also Eternity. So yeah.
What I'm hearing though is that we could hack a computer, we could get it. I what I'm hearing is when I see Erin next week, I could be like, yo, you have this apparently.
No, they don't have it because I still need to do my next, like the final kind of draft on it. There's a lot of detail that I want to put in, but like it's kind of weird because the timeline in my head is much further along than is out there. Yeah.
There's a really interesting question about where you travel because I feel like your books are so global. Is there a place that you're like really eager to spotlight next, or that you just like go to like replenish your well, as some writers like to say?
Um, there's not a specific location that I have in mind right now for spotlighting. Because a lot of the places that I wanted to do I have already done. Like I went to the Forbidden City in China a long time ago, and I think it was a number of years before I wrote Archangel's Kiss, which features the Forbidden City in China. So quite often it's a case of going places and then I just have it in my head until the perfect story. So you never quite know how that's going to work. And you know, the same with Morocco. Like it was really important. Actually, that one I already knew I was going to feature because I was already writing Elena by the time I went to Morocco. So it was just, that was fantastic because I was already writing Elena at the time I went to Morocco. I could go to specific places that I wanted to have in the books, and learn about specific things. But otherwise, I travel and I just absorb places like New York, for example. The first time I went to New York, just totally overwhelmed. Like you have to imagine, I come from a country with 5 million people in the entire country. I have like Tokyo and New York had the same impression of me, which was like, whoa, like these buildings are really tall. And I feel like all of that plays into, like, I love New York as a city. I love New York as a setting. And part of it is that wonder I still have when I go into the city with these soaring skyscrapers and you know, people just going about their business. It has such a vibe, you know, it has such a vibe. So I'm all about that. I just look, listen, you know, absorb. In terms of replenishing the well, I actually really love doing road trips around New Zealand. Um, it's beautiful. It is a really, really beautiful country. And as I have mentioned, it is very empty. So there's just stunning vistas where there's nobody around. And then I write thrillers based on that. So works out. I'm
You
like,
know,
beautiful. What terrible things can I do here? So
you're like, and here's where the body is found. Here
that's
we go.
right.
I mean, can I ask, because I'm an uncultured, untraveled troglodyte, maybe? Um, are there as many things that can kill you in New Zealand as there are in Australia?
There's nothing that can kill you in New Zealand. We are the complete opposite. We have no poisonous spiders, no poisonous snakes. We have no bears. Um, What
So
else
I
can
gotta
kill
come to
you?
New Zealand. If I go to tomorrow, it's New Zealand where I will
Yeah.
live very happily and not be like, I'm gonna get eaten
We
today.
Nothing will go, like, we have these giant spiders that they used in the movie, I think Arachnophobia, but like they're completely harmless. They just look like, giant spiders. So
They
they're like,
look terrifying.
they look terrifying.
Secretly a cinnamon
Nothing.
roll.
Like, seriously, our native birds don't fly. They just walk on the ground. Yeah. So that's how safe it is. You are completely safe.
For the news that your favorite series is ending for some of you. That is the most dangerous news to come out of New Zealand.
Sorry.
I mean, it's one of those things where it has to happen. It has to happen. But then when it happens, you're still not ready for it. I think that's just it. So you've given us plenty of time, I think, to process the wonderful, benevolent leader of the Nalini verse that you are.
Yeah.
So we will trot through it and figure it out. The most upvoted question is the Legion question.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nalini?
What's the answer? I can't spoil everything for you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Watch
Okay.
this space.
So what I'm hearing is, because I do not have the gumption of Allie Hazelwood to keep asking, what I am hearing is, keep your fingers crossed, people. You never know what might happen for you.
I mean, I feel like this is like the
let's
Nikita
meet here
Anthony.
next year, same time,
Yep.
Okay. Putting a reminder in the calendar now.
It's so funny because looking at all the questions, so many of them were before you made your huge announcement and are all like, what's next? Guild Hunter, what's happening? And I'm like,
is this person gonna get a book? Is this person gonna get a book? And it's like, oh. But I think one question can we get out of you about Archangel's Eternity, even though you have fed us well, even as you've made us cry, is there a timeline jump? And if so, how far?
Oh, I will answer the first one. Yes, there is a timeline jump.
I knew there would be, had to be.
Immortals, come on.
Yeah.
And
And
you had to create the future.
The new cadre, that's me. And might be a slightly, is there going to be tension there?
His friends and family are gone.
Sorry.
Okay, we're just like literally having a breakdown on Nalini's.
Can I just like quickly call Allie Hazelwood to come here and do on answers?
Yeah, I'm looking at all these questions like, who will be the protagonists of the next book? And I'm just like, y'all, she answered all the questions with one fell swoop. Oh my gosh.
One
wow.
Sweep of the blade.
I guess one thing I want to know from you then, Nalini, is what excites you about I know, look at me trying here. What excites you about coming to the end of the series?
So I'm not at the excited phase yet because I'm still sad.
Or what possibilities do you see?
So before, so I'm a huge reader as well, right? Like most writers, I got into writing because I love to read. And I always used to wonder, series, they go on too long sometimes, and you're like, why are they just, I always used to be like, why are they doing this? Is this some cynical thing? No, it's because we can't let go, people. This is why. I can tell you, it's because we can't let go. So it is not an easy thing to do, but I suppose what I feel good about is I feel that I've told, when it's complete, when eternity is finalized, I have told a full story. I have told the story I set out to tell, and that feels really, really good. And I felt the same way with the first season of the Archangel series. I had a beginning, I had an ending, and then I had the wrap-up book where that was just, honestly, that wrap-up book number 15 was for fun, just to see everybody, and hopefully you guys all enjoyed that. But it is that feeling of having created something beautiful across multiple books that I hopefully will stand the test of time. You know, I still get emails, messages from readers saying they just found the series and they're sort of powering through all the books, and that feels really good. Like I created something that is not of a moment. It is hopefully going to be here, you know, for a long time to come. And just that feeling of, yeah, just the feeling of completion, I guess, of creating something that's had a beginning, had a middle, has an end, you know. So yeah.
Another question I saw in here was, do you have any favorites in the series?
Like books?
Or couples?
I think they were specifically saying characters in here, but I mean,
Characters. I don't really, because I tend to get really attached to everybody. Because when I'm writing, I think I said this maybe in the last talk we did, Disney, I'm not sure, but even the villains are fascinating because the villains are the heroes of their own story, right? So when I'm in the head of all these people, like when I'm in the head of the Legion or the Primary, I mean, I love the Primary, I love the Legion, I love writing them. Of course, Elena and Raphael, they were the first ones, you know, and then Ilium, Arden. Ilium just held my heart from the start, and then Nasira came on, and I was like, oh my god, who is this? And he was just feral, and I love him. So I genuinely don't have favorites. I adore this entire world. I love playing in it. And every so often I sit down, and I was talking to Ashwini, and I was like, wow, it's going to be really weird not playing in it to the extent that I do now, which is I write a whole book a year. So there's months of time I spend immersed in the world and with these people. So yeah, it's no favorites, just the world I created when I decided to write this really weird book at the start. Like, it was just a book that was like, nobody kind of knew how to categorize it, where it would go. And Cindy, my editor, was just like, just do it, do what you want. So it's been really fun. It's been fun.
Shout out to Cindy.
I guess to that end, there's another question. As one of the original paranormal writers, what do you make of the romantasy boom?
It's been fascinating watching it happen from the perspective of someone who has been in the industry for such a long time, because there have been some progenitors to this, like that, for example, C.L. Wilson's Lord of the Fading Lands, I think that is very much a romantasy book. But when it came out, I think it did well, but if it came out today, it would just explode. So I think it's a really great lesson in timing. Like, sometimes things are written that are really awesome, and then just people are just not looking for that at that time. And I think Anne Bishop's Black Jewels trilogy, which is, I just love. Like, yeah, Gretchen knows
Oh,
amazing.
it's like, it's somewhere on behind me, and it is.
Yeah.
Every time someone is like, I want to get into this, it used to be my 100 club when I was a bookseller, and I would like push it on when they would be like, women don't write fantasy. I would be like, out of my way.
It is really dark fantasy as well, and it is very romantic as well. So for me, it didn't come out of nowhere. I've seen that there have been all these steps that have been there before. My personal theory is that it came in the wake of so Game of Thrones, huge, right? But it is not very kind to women. It is a series where women are not centered, and it's not, and just generally not treated well. And so I think it has been a slow sort of revolution of fantasy that is women centered, and yeah, and fun. And so yeah, it's been interesting. It's fun to watch. And as someone who has been around a while, I've never been able to predict what's going to take off, right? Like, there was one point where there were no contemporaries. Like, contemporary was just nowhere. And now I see historical is having the same problem, where historical romance authors are like, I need to pivot because nobody wants to read historicals. So it's fascinating. Honestly, I'm just happy people are reading. I am happy that we live in this age where there's so much distraction, and yet books are still huge. Bookstores are actually doing better now, I think, than they did maybe 7-8 years ago. Would you guys agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
Destiny. I was like,
Yeah, no, I definitely think like there was definitely a boom, and I feel like also with the onset of COVID, that super accelerated
Yeah.
things, because like, what are you gonna do? Sit at home and read. So I definitely think that played a part in it for sure. But interesting perspective as someone who has been in the game for a while.
I mean, also
I'm only 29, everybody.
That's
just
right.
so you know.
Yes, we
Always.
believe it. Yes. The original immortal.
Exactly.
That's right.
Off of the romantasy trend, are we going to get any kind of very fancy sprayed edges, hardback, guild hunter, side changeling? I mean, more ways that I can put money in your pocket.
So there are going to be two like I guess book box companies. They're coming out with some special editions. I don't know if I'm allowed to like talk about it yet, but yeah, just keep an eye on my socials and my newsletter, and we'll announce it when it's yeah. So they are beautiful. I've seen some of the art for the first lot, and it's breathtaking. It's really, really beautiful.
This
So,
is
yeah.
Guild Hunter or
Guild Hunter, yeah. So the first
Okay.
3, because I think 18 is a big commitment for anybody. So you all need to buy the first 3, and then they might be like, oh, maybe we should do some more. So yeah.
We all have our marching orders. The Archangel has spoken. Here we go.
Gretchen, any others that you see that you want to highlight? I've pulled a few, but obviously people are asking about your other series, which, don't even get me started, but
we'll be here for another hour. I'll be like,
yeah.
let us pull up chairs. Yeah, I mean, I think we announced or talked about everything that we could. I guess the only like sort of big one is that like Ilium and Auden are sort of like the first, not first, but like one of your big queer couples. And is there something special in that for you? Can we expect it more in the coming Nalini cinematic universe?
I think as a person, as a writer, I'm always growing, right? And so I never expected to write Iliam and Arden in the first place, because I came into romance at a time where it was very heteronormative, like you have the man, you have the woman, you have the romance, and that's what it is. And so it's been a journey for me as well. And with these 2 in particular, like I said, they were just a juggernaut. They were just like, this is it. I mean, it is impossible to put them with anybody else. And I think when you read Ascension, you will get that it's very, very clear. It is very, very clear. So I will continue to write in that same way, which is I'm just following the characters. And if it just so happens that there's a particular couple, a queer couple that its story feels right, I'm happy to write it. I just like, for example, I had a secondary couple in
Resonance Surge.
Yes, Resonance Surge. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So and it just felt right there again to write it. And at the same time, sometimes I think readers see something and want it, but if it doesn't feel right to me, I won't write it. And I got this a lot with I'm having a moment of brain freeze, guys. 2 of my sci who were written as very much like a brotherhood, like military brotherhood, and people were like, oh, they need a romance, and I was like, no, it does not feel right. It feels they are best friends, and they will be always best friends. And it's okay. Men can have really good friendships as well. So I will just follow the characters. Aiden Vessel, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, And just because I always try to sneak it in, any word, has Kit decided to return yet?
Kit's just been making appearances, you know. You may possibly see him again soon. But he is very young.
Soon.
I mean, you have to understand the timeline of the series is much more constricted than our timeline for how long the series has been going. So he's still pretty young, and yeah, he can still be young and hang out and, you know, do as he wishes.
Well, Kit.
Be Kit, you know.
I do keep seeing some questions on sort of like the what's next. Obviously, you did respond by saying, you know, having space to think and kind of relax and have that space to breathe is really important. But do you see yourself exploring any other subgenres maybe? And slash, another good question, which I consider would be, will you go on tour for the last book in the Guild Hunter series?
Subgenres. I'm not sure. I think the ideas I have at the moment, they're all sort of probably in that same speculative fiction space, but I'm not quite sure which way it'll lean, whether it's urban fantasy, it's a bit more science fiction-y, or more fantasy. So I'm not sure yet. I'm just going to play and see what feels right. Tour, probably not, because it's honestly, log haul is hard on the body, and so it would have to be long haul for me, you know, because I live in New Zealand and most of you don't. So I really like doing the Zoom kind of thing. It's good fun, but, you know, again, never say never. If there's a particularly something opens up where it's like, oh, this is really doable, you know, I will do it. But at this point, yeah, there's no plans for that. Oh, space opera. Someone said, would I write a space opera? I love space opera. Okay, well, I have to shout out one of my favorite series, which is the Liaden series by Sharon Lee and Steve Miller. It is fantastic. It is like Regencies in space. It is amazing. You all need to read it. I would love to write a space opera. I don't know if I am that way inclined. I might just be a reader for space operas all my life. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
I mean, you could argue that like the sci have some pretty big like sci, like, you know, computer tech or whatever. You just gotta put them in space.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, again, would follow you over a cliff. So you'd be like, this is sci-fi. And I'd be like, that's right. This is sci-fi now.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I always leave doors open. I mean, I never thought I'd be writing New Zealand set thrillers, and here I am. So, yeah.
And you have, so I was going to say, last thing, maybe shameless plug for all of the things that you have going on right now, which is several different things.
Yeah, so right now, like this morning, no, last night, I turned in the copy edits for the next thriller that's coming out. I'm not sure when it's coming out. Maybe very early next year. So the thrillers are all standalone. So if you feel like picking one up, you know, any of them you can pick up. And these are fun because I get to go to the locations because they're all set in New Zealand. Oh, look, January 27th. Thanks, Library Addicts. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, so I get to travel around New Zealand and actually go to the locations, which is pretty cool because most of the time I make up locations, right? Like I am working in paranormal worlds or urban fantasy worlds. It's a lot of world building, which I love. So this is a whole different kind of story because I try and get it very realistic. So that's fun. So that's coming out next, and then obviously Ascension is coming out in a few hours. And then Atonement Sky, which is coming out this summer. Summer for you, winter for me. And after that, well, Archangel's Eternity is going to be the next one after that. And then, yeah, the next Changeling, which I will be writing sort of in the second half of this year. So, and yeah, and hopefully doing some film stuff. So,
oh my gosh, amazing! As Em just said, I just want to say thank you to you, Nalini and Gretchen, with all your amazing questions and also commiseration with all of us.
I'm just here to be the face of all of our like what collective breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah, like we're all in this together. We're all in this together.
Yep.
Even with Nalini, yeah, I feel like we're just all in this together. But I
Me
want to
too.
say we're so that's one reason I enjoy following your writing, because as you said, you follow the characters and you follow the feeling, even if it hurts, and that's something that it takes a really great writer, I think, to do. So you have a forever fan here.
Oh.
Second.
Yes. So as Emma just put in the chat, if you haven't gotten your book plated Archangel's Ascension, what are you even doing? Because it's the second to last one. Can say that now. And we hope to see you soon. I know you have another virtual event. Has that one already happened? I can't remember.
Yes, so that one is in I think 3 weeks.
Okay.
From my website. So that one will be a spoiler discussion. So this was a pre-release, non-spoilery discussion. And so then you have time to read the book and then come join us in that next discussion, which is going to be the spoiler one. So be ready for all the spoilers in that one. Okay.
Also, maybe Nalini will be more open to poking and prodding about eternity. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Possibly.
Well, thank you both so much again. It was a delight to be here and like randomly pop up in complete shock.
Your voice, when it just emerged, there was no face, it was just your voice. That was the best.
Well, pick up Archangel Ascension. Thank you all and have a beautiful night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good morning or afternoon. Bye.
Bye.